Hello and welcome to Atomic Facepalm. I'm Chris.
And I'm Bre.
And this is Atomic Facepalm Weekly, episode 14. Alrighty, so thank you guys for tuning in. You can always leave a comment below or hit subscribe. We would love that. We're going to go into playing with fire.
Are you asking what games I played this week?
Maybe.
You actually threw me off with that. I was like, wait, what?
Mission accomplished.
Uh-huh.
So, me personally, I've been playing a little game called Dead Cells. This came out in early access about a week ago. It is a Castlevania-esque game. I really hate the term Metroidvania for some reason. It irks me, so I refuse to call it that. Because
they definitely were like Metroidvania, like
Fucking
on their
hate that
booth
thing.
at PAX East.
It's become almost like roguelike. I don't like that term anymore either. I feel like it's just a very cheap way of explaining something. And I know we want to go ahead and compartmentalize our games, first-person shooter, side-scroller, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like Metroidvania is just lazy and annoying and catchy. And that's what I think about that. But that is what it is. So it's like Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's very pixely and sort of retro PC graphics, not necessarily retro console graphics. And it has randomized levels, so it has all the things. Really, it's more of a roguelike than a Metroidvania. It has all the stuff
So
like
it's a roguelite Metroidvania? Rogue Metroidvania?
Yeah, a roguelike Metroidvania. Because apparently roguelike hyphen like is also a term that we use now.
Roguelike or roguelite?
Roguelike hyphen like again. So it's roguelike like.
That makes me want to kill myself.
Yeah, it's awful. It's so bad. That's what this game is. But beside me making fun of all that stuff, it's actually very, very good. So it's a little bit different in the sense that, yeah, it's got that stuff. So you die a lot and you start over, and it's got randomized levels. Normally, I'm not big on that stuff.
I know you've been kind of shitting all over randomized levels.
I have.
a little bit lately.
I feel like, look, it's not easy making a randomized level generator. It's actually probably a lot harder than making like actual levels.
Could be.
At least if you're doing it well. In this game, I will say for early access, does a good job, better than some recent games in handling randomized levels. But I feel like in this game, the reason why I don't get sick of it is as your character dies and goes back, he actually gets stronger each time because you collect souls, which they call cells, right? It's also a lot like Dark Souls. Dark Souls roguelike like Metroidvania.
Metroid Castle. Okay.
It's going to expand every 5 minutes. So you collect cells, and the more cells you collect, the more stuff you can upgrade. So I haven't played Dark Souls. I've heard a lot about it. I understand that it's an integral mechanic in those kinds of games. Might even be the same way with Nier Automata, except you don't die all the time, I guess.
No, Nier's pretty normal.
Yeah.
I mean, you go and get your body and stuff. Like, after you die, you can go get your stuff, or you lose it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe it is similar. Huh.
I didn't die that often. It's not like a...
Yeah.
It's really... I mean, it's got that one little teeny thing, but it's not like...
Okay. This game, death is, like, ever-present.
Yeah.
But unlike Strafe, which we actually did a review for recently...
That went up today.
Yeah, it actually went up today. It should be up there if you want to take a look at it. And it's a good side-by-side comparison, actually, if you want to see what works in these types of games and what doesn't. And again, it hurts me to say that about Strafe because I really liked where they were going with it, and it made me play Quake again, which is good stuff. So I don't want to trash it too much. It's just I don't think they succeeded necessarily, but Dead Cells does. Because you never get sick of it because every time your guy's getting more powerful and you get new abilities, it feels fresh because you're doing new things. You can get upgrades that stay with you forever. So you can like pop up a vine at certain areas that at first you couldn't do. You can activate teleporters eventually. And they did a really good job of not only is it randomized levels, but they randomize which areas you can get to. So if you get to like level 2, you're always like level 1's always a dungeon. But once you get past that dungeon, it could be the parapets, like the little high-rise areas of the castle.
Oh, cool.
It could be the sewers. It could be like the alchemy lab. They have all these different areas, and they're always different, but in a good way.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I've been enjoying the hell out of it. I've actually been like, it's got me.
That's good.
Now, it is early access.
I know, and so a lot of people actually, I see complaints about this game in particular because people are saying, oh my god, I love it, go buy it. They're reviewing it on like Polygon, and then people are like, you should not be allowed to review early access games.
No, it's a beta for all intents and purposes.
It is, and so people are saying, you know, can't review early access games or recommend them. It's kind of like...
I don't know if I'd say don't recommend them. I would say recommend and review in the sense of it's early access, right? So as long as you make that very upfront, hey, here's my impressions of the beta. Here's my impressions of the early access. I find that perfectly acceptable.
I do too, because some people want to get in on the ground floor of it and try out early access. But I guess so a lot of the complaints were comparing it to like Astroneer, which a lot of people were freaking out about in November and December of last year, and then it was quite buggy. And I haven't heard anything updates on that game really. It was almost like it released by pre-releasing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't feel like that's the case with this one. And honestly, for a early access game, I've had a pretty smooth experience. I did lose one save file, but again, they preempt that with right when you start the game. It kind of says, look, this is an early access. There's going to be bugs. Some are going to be funny. Like you do a front flip by accident, which is not in the game, or you might lose your save files. And they make it like, look, be aware, this is a testing environment.
Yeah.
So they kind of cushion it. Yeah, it hurt to lose my save file because it was like I invested a lot of hours into that. But it was, again, when you start over, it's not that big a deal because you can go like a different upgrade route and do different stuff. So I've been having a blast with it. I really have. I am looking forward to the full version because it's a little rough, but yeah, it's good stuff. The music is fantastic too. Reminds me a lot of the actual symphony
Rose right off the top.
Music of the night. Yeah, just like that Castlevania game. So I say Dead Cells, give it a shot, especially if you like retro games. If you want to see what a real roguelike, whatever the hell we're calling it now, the part where you die a lot and it's randomized levels, if you want to see what that's like and done properly, play this game. Yeah. And sorry, Strafe, I just feel like I gotta apologize because like they were so close. Strafe, you're so close. Anyway, what have you been playing?
And then you said you played Quake 1, is that it? Yeah?
Yeah, I guess I could go into Quake 1. I don't know. Yeah, I could talk about it a little. So here's what I will say. Obviously, I feel like I talk about Quake 1 too much because it's tattooed on me. I'm like, oh, Quake 1's the best thing ever. But I think it's awesome. And I was like, you know what? After kind of crapping on Strafe a little bit, I'm going to go back and actually see if my words are holding up. Because I felt like a lot of stuff I was saying, I haven't played Quake in like a few years. And a few years is a distinct number of, it's a little bit of time.
Yeah.
When it comes to gaming. So I was going to jump back into it. No, Quake is still very, very playable and a hell of a lot of fun. So again, I feel like if you want to go back and play some of these older games, some of them don't hold up, in my opinion. I don't feel like the original Half-Life is necessarily that great. But I feel like Quake stands. So I played like a couple hours. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing. Yeah.
Okay. So what did I play? Actually, it was kind of all over the place. I finished up Little Nightmares, so we're ready to review that.
Oh, yeah, geez, we can review that.
Yeah, I know. We actually meant to review it this weekend, but it just ended up being a hectic weekend, so this week we'll definitely get out a review for that. I commented quite a bit about it last week, and my comments kind of stand. I'm kind of meh.
Do you want to let everyone know why it was a busy Saturday?
I bought a new car.
Yes!
My car was a huge piece of crap and fell apart and broke and had to get a ride to work on the end of last week, and so bought a brand new car.
Oh, it's so awesome. I'm sorry anyways.
I'm really excited about it.
I am too. I think it's pretty awesome.
Probably see it on Twitter or Instagram or something. Anyways, so yeah, finished that up. The end, it just really, it didn't, it's like Stray for you, where maybe I built it up too much, like I was expecting more from the gameplay than it was delivered. Otherwise, just like absolutely beautiful game, like the lights, the music, the atmosphere, the way the camera moves is nothing like I've ever seen before. Just the world itself is unlike anything else I've seen, book, movie, TV, whatever. Cool, really pretty. Really lots of interesting stuff in the environment, like you jumping on a sponge and it's like, and it's like spitting out the water and stuff, or you walk over a mattress and it poofs with dust, and the environment is so cool.
A lot of attention to detail in those little areas.
Yeah.
Things often ignored, by the way, in games, right?
No, the whole layout of everything is really, it's just, I didn't really enjoy playing it, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to have some pretty serious criticisms of this game, and it's weird because we were talking about this off camera, which is a lot of our most anticipated games are kind of not doing so great. And that's a bummer. Like, I feel like we played these games when they're in, they were previewed, so they weren't a huge amount. But really, for Little Nightmares, it's really short. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing in this game's case. It's nice because you can play it really quickly and it's a good experience.
I actually dragged that out over 3 weeks for some reason because I was playing lots of other stuff. Maybe that's when I don't focus,
Well, I think it's telling, too, that you were willing to go to other games. I think that's more indicative of the fun you weren't having.
And I kind of forced myself to finish it, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And at the same time, I also want to mention that that's more, I think a little bit of that is me. I don't really like things that are creepy and scary and keep scaring me again and again and again.
Okay.
Like Resident Evil 7, it's not Resident Evil 7, but that just like sneaking past people and feeling like I don't want to be caught by them, I'm really... Like, I've played other sneaking games, and I didn't mind the enemy, it's like another soldier guy, and he's going to catch you, and the guards are going to come, or whatever, but this is like, these guys are creepy. I don't want them to eat me. I don't want to be eaten in any games. I guess maybe I have an issue with
being
people...
eaten? Yeah. Well, you realize that's like the number one human instinct that we still have, that remains with us, but that drives that fear, is the fear of being eaten.
Yeah, it just creeps me out. So
primal.
Maybe that's like, because in Resident Evil 7, I was creeped out and stuff, and then there's that table scene, which is... And they're eating things, and you're thinking, maybe, is that people? Are they going to eat me? And I'm just like...
It's terrifying.
I'm done. I'm kind of done now.
If you want to talk about really the most painful death imaginable other than being burned alive, like being eaten alive is like an actual nightmare.
Yeah, so maybe that's it. So some of that was me not wanting to play this game because it just kind of skeeved me out a little bit.
If I had to make an observation, though, I will say it did look like it was frustrating.
It was frustrating me so bad in some spots. And I felt like I knew what to do, but I couldn't make my guy do it, but not in that way that sometimes happens in games. Like, you go up against a boss, like, you like try it a couple times and you miss, or you didn't dodge or you didn't slide. But this was like, I know I need to jump from here to here, and it looks like it's going to work, but then it doesn't work. And a lot of that. It
lacked a lot of spatial awareness, which is, in this game's tough, because really it's like usually one hit, you're dead. It's not like you had a little life bar.
No, you get caught and that's that.
Yeah, and you start over at sometimes not very forgiving checkpoints, depending on where they are.
Yeah, that's true. The two places actually where it was really annoying, it happened to be that it was a really long, not really long. Like,
long in this game.
It felt long enough, stuff I didn't want to do. Anyways, so I finished that. We'll review that later this week and kind of get a feeling of how we're feeling about that game. Prey, just a little bit. I'm taking my time with that. I don't know that I'm going to even bother reviewing it because I like it, but it's just going to take me so long to do it in a way that I am going to enjoy. It's just kind of going through the levels slowly and like checking out all the different stuff. I think if you run and gun through this game, it's going to be very different.
Yeah, I feel like I'll be doing a disservice almost to a certain degree.
Yeah, so
it does seem like,
bother with that. I played just an hour and a half of The Surge, and I uninstalled it because it's just not for me.
Yeah, I'm still intrigued by that. I might give it a shot.
I think people are giving it decent reviews.
Total Biscuit gave it a very decent review.
Yeah,
he really liked it.
And so it's nothing bad about the game. You play, like I chose, in the beginning you get to choose two different kind of classes, and you can choose...
slower.
Yeah, so I chose the more fast, like agile. I think I used the word agile.
Quotation marks.
And then my guy was just like, and then like he hits really hard, like popping people's heads off and stuff. But you're just so slow, and I'd try to like dodge out of the way, and I lost my stuff like 18 times, and I was like, oof.
That's what a lot of people are saying. Is it's obscenely difficult. Which I guess some people enjoy. That seems like that would probably frustrate me. Again, because I don't play Dark Souls games. And this really, from what I understand, is just a futuristic Dark Souls game.
Yeah, that's actually the topic of today's Penny Arcade comic, was this game and being a Dark Souls game.
Now, apparently these developers tried a game before this, too, that was supposed to be Dark Souls-like and failed, like, miserably. But I guess people are receiving this one better. It's just that, like you were saying, you want to just go in and flurry your hits, right? And be able to make mistakes. This is a game where it's like if you miss one hit, you're kind of screwed, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, and so the problem for me was like I'd be dealing with the one guy, and I've kind of got my rhythm down with that guy that's in front of me. Yeah. And because each time you go out into the area, it repopulates immediately with all the different guys.
That's rough to begin with.
It is pretty rough. But so then another guy would come from the side, and they have like this, I don't have it yet. Maybe I get that running attack move where they're running like 30 miles an hour at you and just like, and my guy's like head pops off, and I lose all my stuff. And then I go back out and I want to do it again, and then I lose all my stuff. And that part of it didn't bother me so much, the losing of my stuff or the exploring the level. It just, the way I fought, I knew that I wasn't going to enjoy the game. Yeah. It's just not my style.
Sure.
I really enjoyed like the leveling up system. You kind of get parts from things, and actually it reminded me a lot of Nier Automata, the way, because you're like, again, kind of an androidy guy, and so you're upgrading with chips, and you install different chips and upgrade those chips, and
you're actually in an exoskeleton. If I kind of peeked over your shoulder, and you start off in a wheelchair. Is that a spoiler?
It isn't a spoiler, but it was a surprise the way they revealed it in a way that I was like, I enjoyed the reveal.
The only reason I say that is because maybe it's just the games I'm playing, you don't see that too often.
No, and that's why it's a surprising little quick reveal. I know it happens within literally the first like 2 minutes of the game, but they do it in a way that was like, I laughed. I actually laughed out loud, and I was like, that's clever.
Huh.
And then the whole opening sequence was really quite cool. And you're kind of a space marine. You sign up for that deal because you're in a wheelchair, and then they drill into you with this thing, and you guys like screaming because it's all sudden like blood. But the rest of the game I really enjoyed. It just wasn't my kind of. I wish I could have chosen a different class or a different style or something.
Just you're speaking my language here. Maybe I should try this out.
I'd actually say I'd recommend, if it's triggering any sort of interest at all, it was a cool game. Like the systems around the combat were super cool.
Yeah.
And just, I kind of like that home base and then going out and exploring and then, making your way back. It's almost like that Minecraft, like take my diamonds back to the place and deposit them. Like I do like that mechanic a lot.
The risk reward too, right? It's like, do I want to get greedy and go a little bit further maybe and get some more stuff, then you die. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was kind of cool. It just wasn't for me. And, I was thinking that maybe I might go back to The Witcher. Like, I've been having that itch.
That's right, you played that for a little bit.
I did, and then we got into this whole review cycle, and I just want to maybe finish that up because that's kind of still nagging at me. And, like, I like the way the combat is in The Witcher a lot. Like, he's much more agile.
He's a lot more fluid. Again, I'm kind of looking over your shoulder now and then. I don't want to do it too much because it's weird.
And I hate when people watch me play games.
Yes. Which I can respect, but from what I saw, a lot more graceful.
Yeah, and
right?
that's like my style. Like Nier. Like honestly, I just want to play Nier again and again. And like every game I play, I'm just like.
Nothing wrong with that.
Can I play Nier?
Play it. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. We actually talked about this back when I was in like full-time journalism, where it's like we'd always say like, God, I'm playing this game, I feel guilty, and you're like, why? If you want to play it, play it. I mean, you want to hit your deadlines and do your work, but shit, no, play it, man.
Yeah, so I want to play Witcher, and actually, I just want to go back. I think I need to play Dark Souls. You know what I mean? It's one of those games where it's just like keeps hitting me over the head. I'm like, you can't not have missed this game, I guess, or at least given it a try. See what I can do with it.
It seems like more and more, no matter where I go, it's like Dark Souls. It's like haunting me, like an actual, like it's somehow metamorphed into a physical thing in reality, and I feel like it's chasing me. So maybe we should just fire that damn thing up.
So that's kind of was my thing this week. I actually cleaned out what was installed on my computer, and I got rid of the Surge. I'm just like,
really?
I am going to maybe play The Witcher or Dark Souls this week, and kind of focus on playing a game that I can review, but also kind of hitting on some backlog items that I feel like I need to finish.
So I've had some interesting suggestions. A friend of mine said to start with Dark Souls 3 because apparently the community is a big part of what makes Dark Souls good. Now this is coming from a newbie, so I don't know what this necessarily means, but he was saying, I guess you can enlist the help of other like people in the game.
Oh, like Nier or something?
Oh, could you do that in Nier?
Well, if somebody died, the ultimate is that you sacrifice your save game file so you can help somebody.
Oh, I think it's the same thing in Dark Souls.
Oh, okay.
I think I don't know if you sacrifice your game, but I know that if someone dies, they can sacrifice something, and then you can enlist their help, but it's randomized. It's not like you can pick through like a list of people. It just randomly queries somebody, and they hit yes or no, and they come help you do like a boss battle.
Just like with Nier 2, if you're wandering around, you'll sometimes see a dead body on the ground, and it's where somebody really did die there, and then you can kind of res them, and there'll be like a little bot following
That's
you
literally
around.
from Dark Souls.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the same thing. From what Drew was telling me, my friend. And he's like one of his favorite games of all time, so he knows his stuff on it.
I can't do that, though. I can't start with 3. I'm like one of those people that if you want to watch a show, you start at the beginning. If you want to play a game, you start at the beginning.
Well, his argument and a few other people were like, well, you're not going to get the full experience because Dark Souls isn't that supported. I was like, well, that seems like an ancillary element anyway. It doesn't seem like it's like you have to do that. It's just part of it. But the more I read about Dark Souls, people are like, it's the best game ever universally. And it's like, I haven't played a damn game.
So that was kind of my looking ahead. I was going to probably do that and play those.
Is that on Steam?
I'm pretty sure. So I was going to actually meant to do that this week.
Yeah.
And then I played a little teeny bit of Old Man's Journey on the PC is where I played it, which is it's on Steam for $7.99 and it's also on the iPad and Android for $4.99.
What?
And as soon as I played it on my PC, I was actually like, I would much rather play this kind of on a because it's not very fun with the mouse clicking
Yeah.
around, but it is like the coolest art style. It is like being in a storybook, like a watercolor storybook. It's so interesting, but just really kind of a indie game, sweet. You know, it's a little about an old man remembering like his life and his wife and his, you know, what happened to him while you go through this kind of thing where you know, raise and lower elevations on hills so you can move between them.
Oh, that game. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So the art style is just super cool and really kind of cute. So I actually want to just get it on my iPad and finish it there because that seems like a very relax in bed kind of game. Like it's not.
Yeah. That seems kind of rare though. Like if it's one, I don't know why they would price it that high for the PC.
I didn't understand. So I double checked it because I bought it I got it last night on Steam.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a second, this is totally an iPad game. And then I went to bed and I checked it on my iPad and I was like, wait a second, that's cheaper on the iPad. That doesn't make sense.
With the final exclamation point. That's what I think of that.
So I think if you have a tablet to play it on there, you can play it on a phone, but I would say no, because I think these graphics actually, you need to see them a little bit bigger. And also, the music is super cool, and it might be good with headphones, because it's pretty cool.
Old man journey, story of my life these days.
Yeah.
Sadly.
So that was cool. I'm trying to think. I
You actually
played
played
Space Pirate Trainer.
Oh, Lord, you played a lot of games. I only played a couple. No, I actually played that too.
I know, this is why I want to focus more.
Yeah.
But I was all over the place.
Sorry.
But Space Pirate Trainer, again, that is like my favorite game to just play for an hour, like once a week.
You're really
And
damn
got
good at it.
another high score, and now I'm topped at 31,000. And
To put that in perspective, for people who have not played this game, 31,000, you might say, that sounds like an okay score. I've been in the military, I played paintball, I consider myself versed in martial
shooting
combat.
things?
Yes. I apparently would be useless in a war, even though I was technically in a war. Anyway, yeah. So I worked on planes. I had a wrench and hit people with a wrench. I didn't really do that. That was anyway. Okay. So what I'm saying is, I thought I'd a little cocky. You know, I'd be good at this game. You got like a shield, right? You got like a pistol and stuff. My usual score is like 3,500.
I think I'd say the average score seems to be around 10,000 in our household.
Not for me.
Keisha seems to hit that a lot. I feel like I hit that quite easily. I thought you got 10,000.
I got 10,000, and it was a struggle. Like
I feel like your weapon choice is the problem there.
I think it's me.
I'm
I'm gonna blame the weapon because it's a lot easier and it makes me feel good.
All right, I'm gonna try that weapon that you tried.
It's a grenade launcher I use, where you launch it and there's a delay, and you have again spatial awareness, right? You have to know where your guys. Maybe that is why I suck. But I've tried other weapons. I tried like the pistol. There's like a little Ghostbusters laser beam.
I actually tried that lately, and that's pretty cool. I'm actually I liking that one.
My only complaint with that game is it's kind of hard to hot swap weapons. Like maybe you're not supposed to.
I did get it down. It's not in the middle of a wave, but in between waves, you definitely can.
Okay. I just felt like it was a little weak. You press it down on the stick.
Maybe we should rebind it. Maybe there's a way to rebind it. Because
Yeah.
if it was just a button, then I could change it really quickly.
Yeah. Good game. Really fun game. Got good intense techno soundtrack.
Go-to game for me. To just like after work blow off some steam for an hour is like one of my favorite games actually recently.
I'd like to actually finish Robo Recall too. I'm right at the end of that. I have one more.
I like Robo Recall if I could control my levels more. Like I hate having to do the stupid like hunt them down. I hate pulling apart robots. I like shooting and I like jumping around and shooting, but I don't want to do the stupid missions. Like I just want it to be more arcadey.
Yeah.
I like the art. So if it had different arcade modes, I might like that.
And Fruit Ninja is always fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. It always makes me feel like I'm too far back. Like I've got to keep stepping forward. Like it feels like the fruit's far away.
Yeah.
No matter how close I get to the little sensors, the fruit feels like it's out of reach.
Okay then. Well, that's what we've been playing this week. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to a certain game that we'd like to highlight each week, depending on what there is. Sometimes we don't do it.
I can actually say our format is all over the place lately, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, yeah. Like we were just saying, when we swapped over the cameras here, we were saying like, well, we talk about games a lot, and that for me is actually pretty interesting. It seems like it's kind of fluid, so we're just kind of let's see where the conversation goes.
Yeah, so if you ever have any comments about what you think we should talk about, you hate when we talk about games that we've played that week
Chris
for
mentions
30
Quake
minutes.
1 too much. Stop talking about Quake 1.
Yeah, play Dark Souls, you noobs.
Perfectly valid.
Yeah, any of those valid comments or more discussion, more news, whatever. So we've been just kind of keeping it wherever.
Also, you might notice that me and Bre are both wearing some sweatshirts, even though it's like almost June in Vermont. It's because it's a delicious 50 degrees outside.
Yeah.
It's
So,
almost June.
just an update, a weather update from Vermont is it was 60 degrees this week, 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 90, 90, and then back to like 50s and 60s.
I think we actually get down to like 40.
We had a frost warning the other night, so it's like cold sweatshirt weather or, oh my God, I'm going to burn your skin off and make you freak out because none of your summer clothes are even anywhere near your dresser and you don't know what to wear when it's 90 degrees suddenly.
It's actually pretty rough, I got to say. So, yeah, that's why we're in like...
And if you like it when we talk about the weather, you can almost, comment about that as well. Talk about the weather whenever.
Talk about your stupid Florida weather where it's like 83 every day.
Yeah, it's like San Francisco
bastards.
or something with 70. Anyways.
Anyway, the game in the balance, wink wink, this week is going to be actually a mode in a game that's coming out. My Al Gore impersonation. And this is for Divinity Original Sin Part 2. And this is for tabletop mode.
Which I saw this, it was actually last week, that this was actually a story we wanted to do last week, but we didn't get to it. I think this looks awesome. It's kind of something I've been waiting for. And maybe there already is something like this where somebody can kind of set up and DM a game and create. When you give people the tools to kind of create this stuff, I think it just, I don't know, makes your game so much more. So this just looks awesome to me.
So, via PC World, it's slated, the game that is slated to ship with a full pseudo-tabletop tool set. There's Game Master mode. After hitting one of the final stretch goals of the game's 2015 Kickstarter campaign. So one, I didn't realize that this game has been in development since 2015.
I know that, so I did know that it's, because it's been at all the...
They've been at every PAX I think we've been to in like 2 years.
And I'm like, when is this game going to come out?
Yeah.
But I guess they hit too many stretch goals. Maybe this is the problem with Kickstarter, is they are adding on all these stretch goals. Like Torment, Tides of Numenera had a ton of stretch goals that they had to try to meet. So they're, maybe that's why it's in development.
Probably. In this, this particular thing sounds like this is a lot of work. Especially get this right. And it sounds like they're doing it right.
Yeah.
They're saying a GM mode will not be added to the original Sin during early access, which is an important distinction, I feel like. So if you're in early access, this won't be available. It doesn't mean it's not going to be there. It's just that it's only going to be available when the game launches.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think this is a pretty in-depth thing they added on. It's going to have a full campaign creation tool, a tabletop-style dice rolling system, a vignette. Jesus. English major.
Well,
a vignette tool for adding a
French.
choose. I know Hermano means brother from watching Arrested Development. The vignette tool is going to add a choose your own adventure flavor, and there's going to be other features too. Starts with a map. Any map, by the way. So basically, you can take a photograph, or you could draw your own map, scan it in, and it takes that map and it creates a game world off of that data. It's pretty cool to begin with.
No,
honestly.
it's actually, I guess somehow I missed that part.
Well, it says it can import any image too. So if you wanted to have Chris World, I just take a photograph of my face and then I scan it in. Yeah, it would make like a mountain out of my nose and who knows what else. But yeah, apparently any image will do. So apparently they're saying there's really not going to be any pre-made Divinity maps for this either. They're really pushing you to do your own thing.
Which is, the community will go nuts.
Absolutely.
That's the kind of stuff that people just are.
Oh,
people love building maps.
Yeah.
Making maps.
And that's just the beginning. That's just how you get this thing started off. So the Game Master or Dungeon Master, I don't know what they're officially calling it. I'm sure a lot of those are trademarked by numerous systems like GURPS and Dungeons & Dragons, but...
The dude that runs the game.
Right. The guy in
or
charge.
Or dudette.
Yeah. The person. Or I guess a dog could do it too, if you have a smart dog. So they add locations, they didn't add props and monsters, custom characters, and the tools are allegedly pretty simple. All of this takes place before the players arrive, which I think is important to note, because what you don't want is everyone to get into this lobby and you're like, okay, give me like 4 hours here to create everything. Okay, hold on. Yeah. So,
I would assume that you're going to set this stuff before they join the game. Okay.
So this is all behind the scenes stuff that you would probably normally do for any role-playing game. It sounds like a very similar process. So really, it's just that you're doing it on the computer as opposed to pen and paper. GM's going to adapt on the fly. Now this is important too, and circumvent the game's program rules. So Divinity 2, being a PC game, has rules right inside the system. So there's certain things you can do. But apparently they've made it so that if you want to, you can just bypass that entirely. They didn't go into huge specifics on how to do that. They gave a few examples, such as someone was playing it, they needed to do something with a potion. They couldn't really do that in the game, so somehow he made it so they could do a certain thing with a potion.
Oh, so they can like program in their own spells and...
Yes. Or if you're like, I want to climb up that tree. You know, I don't know if there's tree climbing in Divinity 2, but apparently they can somehow get around that. They were saying sometimes that means text description and not necessarily seeing the character on screen doing it.
Bob climbs the tree.
Right.
You see him in the tree.
Yeah.
Don't ignore the fact that his avatar is on the ground. He is definitely in the tree.
Yeah, so there you go.
Okay.
Exactly. And PC Gamer sat down with Larian Studios, who's the one developing the game. Their CEO is Sven Vinke, who I actually had the pleasure of talking to a few times. Nice guy, very tall. And he tried to recreate the opening of the studio's very first game, a game very dear to my heart, Divine Divinity.
Weren't you playing that a few weeks ago or a month ago?
You know, I kind of forgot about that. So I was going into my video capture footage, which we do like when we do game reviews and stuff. We capture the video, goes into a folder, and I was like, holy crap, that's right. Divine Divinity was in there. And like, the reality of a billion games pushed it aside. But it's like, I still love that game. And it was so cool to see them recreate the opening in this. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And, not many people probably know about Divine Divinity. I think a lot of people know about Divinity
Original Sin.
Yeah. So it's cool.
Which I didn't quite finish. I played quite a bit of that.
That's right. You did play quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
And it looked good.
I don't know why I stopped playing that.
It looked hard, for one thing.
Yes, actually, it was kind of. I was like, "Oh, I got this. This is gonna be easy." And then, you get past a certain point, I was getting my ass kicked. I was just not that great.
Yeah, and that looked like. That's one of those PC games where it's like a harkening back to the Fallout ages or Arcanum or wherever, like where it's like they didn't hold your hand too much. Like you could go into an area and get your ass kicked if you did it. Like, or you could go explore, and it looked tough.
Yeah.
So I love this stuff, personally. I have a pretty decent Dungeons & Dragons background. Sounds like you do too, from when you were growing up.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and so this is nice to see, because honestly, Wizards of the Coast, who took over for TSR, for Dungeons & Dragons, doesn't really apparently have a good version of this.
No, I remember they released this MMO, God, that must have been like 10 years ago now. Yeah. And I had this it's going to be like, somebody can make a campaign. And it was just the most disappointing thing I ever played.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that way.
Though I didn't stick with it for very long. So maybe it was one of those games that improved. I don't know. But
not from what I can tell. A lot of people were saying this looks like a better version of that. And it's not even an official, module for Dungeons & Dragons. It's just that this company knows role-playing. That's all Larian Studios does, by the way. They just do role-playing games. So they picked it, and they're like, we're going to be good at this. Kind of like CD Projekt, right? It's like they picked the genre, and they went with it.
Well, now they're doing other things.
Disregard everything I just said.
I know stuck with it for a while, but I'm pretty sure that their next game is really kind of different.
It's like a fucking racing game or something.
Besides Gwent. They're working on Gwent, but then their next game. Didn't we do a story about this?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. But I am certain that Larian Studios has only done role-playing games. That much I do know. Don't know much. Not a smart man, but yeah. So it's neat to see them throw in this level of... And again, this is not like a small thing. It's not like, oh, here's a quick thing, we're just going to toss it in the game. This is like a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on. And the fact that they're encouraging you to kind of break their game, honestly, is awesome. That tells me, personally, that they're invested in the PC platform. Because that's what PC gaming is, right? It's saying, here's a game, we have a vision, but if you'd like to go apart from that vision, go for it. Mod it. Do what you'd like to do. Break the system. Make it different. That's great. I love that.
I do like when they open it up for mods, because it opens it up for so much more, So that, to me, is the way games should be.
So I'd actually kind of like to try this, honestly, when it comes out.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think it'd be a lot of fun.
So a lot of things that I hear about, so I played Divinity Original Sin by myself, but people say that's like an amazing co-op game. Which I actually really miss co-op. You know what I mean? There's not.
Comes up on those lists. Whenever you do like a Google search for like the best co-op games, that one's always there.
Yeah, I know. So actually, and it's available on the PlayStation 2 as well. PlayStation 4.
I was like, PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 4 also is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I got you. So that is it for us this week, guys. Thanks everyone again for tuning in. You can always leave a comment, tell us what you think, or subscribe and get automatic updates when we have new videos. So for this week, this is Chris.
This is Bre.
Till next time, good luck.
Have fun.